Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to our Institution of Global Professionals International Free Webinar. Yes, right now this is our another brand new episode to learn with IGP. Yes, my dear participants, thank you for joining with us in this live session. And I would like to request everyone, please stay with us till the end. So, dear participants, once again, I'm your host Nasrin Nisha from Bangladesh. Yes, for tonight live session. Okay, so dear participants, thank you again for joining with us, and please share this webinar in your timeline, Facebook groups, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn also. And you can also give a react and comment in our webinar. So don't forget to tag, share, and mention your friends in our comment box. All right. So, dear participants, dear learners, dear teachers, let's learn together and grow together because we believe that power is gained by sharing knowledge, not holding it. So, once again, I'm your host and member in IGP, Nasrin Nisha. Yes. So right now we have our participants from different time zones and nations have already joined in this live session. I can see the comments in the comment box. Thank you, ma'am, Gina Leen. Thank you, ma'am, Thank you, sir, Dennis Serso. Thank you, ma'am, Anna Mary Joy, for joining with us. Thank you, ma'am, Gemma Benelada. Thank you, ma'am, Carmela Behane. We have Ma'am Sheila Umpai. Okay. So we have Ma'am Isaya Kiangi from Kenya. And we have Ma'am Anna Mary Joy. Thank you, Sir Christine, Sir Eka Dikari, Sir Sandeep, Ma'am January Cindy, Sir Ellen Hua Brutus. Am I right, sir? And we have Ma'am Evelyn Pivaperi, Sir Mercado. So thank you everyone for joining with us in this live session. And we believe that you all will have many takeaways and payoffs from this webinar. Okay. So dear participants, okay, so right now we have many participants with us. So allow me give a little concept about IGP. Institute of Global Professionals of Student and Community Resource provides holistic social work and education for create a profession generation. IGP is leading on online skill development skill and institute with thousands of learners worldwide. We make it get it able to use for every knowledge seeker to originate personality, more ambitious, make confident to face any circumstance and develop their own skills. We are entrusted with international recognition. And you have already knew that IGP is a non-profit international educational training institute. Yes, we provide effective training and consultation to generate profession generation all over the world. We believe that it's not effective to increase one's skills just by acquiring formal education. Yeah, so that's why we provide effective training and consultation. Yes, dear participants, we organized our webinar, online, offline courses, etc., by best and trained speakers and coaches from all over the world to create a best learning platform for all of you. And our mission is empower people, our youth, and enhance. So, dear participants, we have already completed our 633 webinar and today I'm presenting webinar number 634. The topic is active and innovative teaching in flexible learning uh, spaces. Okay. And today we have our honorable speaker from Albania, Ma'am Irina Viva. So, dear participants, let's start our program with a GP's mantra or slogan that is feed your skills. So you can comment in our comment box with hashtag feed your skills, hashtag IGP. So let's welcome our speaker from Albania, Ma'am Irina Biba. Let's give a round of applause, virtual round of applause for her. Welcome, ma'am. I was wondering if you're disconnected again.
Hello, everyone. I'm really great being here again.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for coming in IGP's platform. And we believe that we will learn so many things from your presentation on the topic. So we are ready to hear you. So you can start your presentation, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Okay, my name is Irina Biba. I am master teacher and teacher from Albania. I have been teaching for 25 years. 3 years I have been a principal in a secondary school, a great experience for me. Always I am a teacher willing to learn and to share experience with others. Really honored and great to be here with you, all teacher in all the world. Okay, we're talking today with a beautiful topic, flexible learning into classroom. Now I'm sharing my screen. Just a minute, please. Okay. Flexible learning, and we'll come to the module one. Yes. The school education is in a critical transition phase where the increasingly technology-rich learning environments and student-centric pedagogy are gaining ground in current practices. Schools and teachers are also directly impacted by developments about modernizing or transforming physical learning environments. A way to address these challenges is active learning pedagogies that help prepare the next generation of learners for the problems that they will face in an ever changing world every day in our practice. Active learning and innovative teaching in flexible learning spaces is a session that will introduce you to the theoretical background and principle of active learning environments and recognize their importance, identify the challenges of current classrooms, and think about ways on how to redesign the space and make it more dynamic. In this session, we will also explore learning beyond the traditional classroom setting and create scenarios based on the principle of active learning using the online scenario
Hello,
tool.
ma'am. I'm really sorry to interrupt. You didn't share your screen, ma'am.
Okay, sorry for that. Maybe my computer has some technical
Okay,
issues. I'll try
so it's
again.
okay.
Okay,
Okay,
in this moment, I think is visible just in 2 seconds. Is it
okay.
visible now?
Not yet, ma'am.
Now yet. Okay.
Yes, now it's visible, ma'am.
Ah, yes,
So
now
maybe
it's visible. Thank you. Thank you. I'll do it again. Just a minute, please.
okay, ma'am.
Okay. I think now is visible. Huh?
Yes, ma'am. Make it full screen.
Okay. We can continue now, I think.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that. As
Thank
I was telling in this session, we will also explore learning beyond the traditional classroom setting and create scenarios based on the principles of active learning using the online scenario tool. The session content has been designed to stimulate reflections and discussion so that you can learn from each other's experiences and ideas. Okay, active learning. This session is divided into four different parts, focusing on active learning teaching practices, examples teachers can benefit from it, etc. In this module, we will learn, as I said, what active learning is and discuss how can implement it in a classroom also. Okay. Therefore, the main learning objectives of part one are to become familiar with active learning and the opportunities it offers, to explore the key competencies and transversal skills, to learn about some practical techniques of active learning, but also reflect no more, to learn what flexible learning spaces are and the benefits they offer. Before we dive into the actual content of this session, what are the first thoughts that come to mind when active learning is mentioned? You can write message add some words that first come to mind to you. Definition of active learning. After warming up by reflecting a bit on the active learning pedagogy, we are ready to get it started and explore what is the concept is all about. In theory, there are several definitions that explain active learning. The roots of active learning can be traced back to Confucius, who stated, I hear and I forget, I see and I remember, I do and I understand. You know that it is also commonly thought that people remember 10% of what they read, 20% of what they hear, 30% of what they see, 50% of what they hear and see, 70% of what they say, 90% of what they do. In other words, learners need to share their learning experiences, make links with their background knowledge and new information, and apply it to their daily lives. Another definition suggests that active learning is a process of creating meaning. New knowledge is built when students combine new information with their exist concepts, knowledge or experience through one reflection process. Any new information that is not consistent with the past experiences is rejected as incorrect or incorporated into the new knowledge. To create meaning in active learning, students have to produce active effort. In other words, active learning requires students to do something that read, discuss, write, that needs higher order thinking skills, no? Take a look at the Bloom's taxonomy. Benjamin Bloom defines higher order thinking skills as the cognitive processes that require thinking at more complex, higher level, as it is indicated in the image that you see. Remember, recall facts and basic concepts, understand, explain ideas or concepts, apply, use information in new situations, analyze, derive connection among ideas, evaluate, justify a stand or decision, and create, produce new or original work. Additionally, according to literature, active learning within an active pedagogy framework must be student-centered. Gilliot explains that students learn through real-world problems in an individual and interpersonal way that allows them to process information actively and deeply. The five key characteristics of student-centered approach are identified. One, the balance of power. For student-centered approach to work, Power needs to be redistributed from teachers to the students. As students should be in the center of the learning process, they need to start being in charge of the learning process, having the ability to influence what and how they are learning. The function of content. Following the constructivist approach, where learners actively construct their knowledge by constructing the meaning of and relating it to the previously acquired knowledge, the role of the teacher, involving students in the process of acquiring knowledge and being active in the learning. Teachers are not the only source of expertise, and students should not wait for them in order to learn. The responsibility for learning, students should be responsible for their own learning. They should be taught how to learn and become autonomous, self regulating learners. Evaluation, purpose, and processes. Teachers need to implement assessment for learning and assessment as learning, both being formative assessment strategies to support students as learners. The pedagogy of active learning is not new. Research support that its elements are influenced by some pre-existing theories. According to University of Cambridge Local Examination Syndicate, active learning has its roots on constructivism, social constructivism, schemas or schemata scaffolding Bloom's taxonomy, child-centered approach, inquiry-based, problem-based or discovery learning, and experiential learning. In more detail, constructivism is based on the cognitive theories of Piaget, and learners construct their own understanding individually. According to Lev Vygotsky, learning happens primarily through social interaction in social constructivism. Jerome Brunner describes scaffolding as supporting a students or group of students in their learning of new knowledge, new language of skills. The revised Bloom's taxonomy offers a classification of affective and cognitive skills. Active learning approaches will help students develop at every stage of Bloom's taxonomy. Maria Montessori advocates a child-centered approach. Students play an active role in their learning, while teachers are activator of learning in student-centered or learner-centered learning. Inquiry-based, problem-based, or discovery learning, where learners learn by addressing and posing questions, analyzing evidence, connecting such evidence to pre-existing knowledge, drawing conclusions, and reflecting upon their findings. Experiential learning describes someone learning from direct experience. Key competencies. As we have seen in the previous unit, there are different definitions for active learning from different authors. In this unit, we will examine why active learning is important. Active learning is important as it directly supports the development of key competencies and transversal skills. Are you familiar with these two terms and concepts? Let's have a closer look at them. The key competencies determined by the European Commission are those which all individuals need for personal fulfillment and development, employability, social inclusion, and active citizenship. They are developed in a lifelong learning perspective from early childhood throughout adult life and through formal, non-formal, and informal learning. They can be summarized as the following: science, technology, engineering, mathematical, languages, literacy, cultural awarenesses and expression, entrepreneurship, civic, personal, social, and learning, digital. The first one, a literacy competence. Literacy is the ability to identify, understand, express, create, and interpret concepts, feelings, facts, and opinions in both oral and written forms. Using visual, sound, audio, and digital materials across disciplines and contexts. It implies the ability to communicate and connect effectively with others in an appropriate and creative way. Multilingual competence. This competence defines the ability to use different languages, speaking, writing, reading, listening, appropriately and effectively for communication. The third, mathematical competence and basic competencies in science and technology. Is it the ability to develop and apply mathematical thinking and insights in order to solve a range of problems in everyday situations? Mathematical competence involves, to different degrees, the ability and willingness to use mathematical modes and through and presentation formulas, models, graphs, charts, etc. Competence in science refers to the ability and willingness to explain the natural world by making use of the knowledge and methodology employed, including observation and experimentation in order to identify questions and to draw evidence based conclusions. Digital competence, applying technology effectively as a tool to research, organize, evaluate, and communicate information. Using digital technologies, communication, networking tools, and social media appropriately to access, manage, integrate, evaluate, and create information to function successfully in a given environment. Personal, social, and learning to learn is another key competencies. It is the ability to reflect upon oneself, effectively manage time and information, work with others in a constructive way, and manage one's own learning and career. It includes the ability to cope with uncertainty and complexity, learn to learn, support one's physical and emotional well being to maintain physical and mental health, and to be able to lead a health conscious, future oriented life. Citizenship competence. It is the ability to act as a responsible citizens and to fully participate in civic and social life based on understanding of social, economic, legal, and political concepts and structures, as well as global developments and sustainability. Cultural awarenesses and expression competence. Working effectively in a multinational team, respecting and being aware of cultural differences, and working effectively with people from a range of social and cultural backgrounds. Entrepreneurship competence. It refers to the capacity to act upon opportunities and ideas and to transform them into values for others. It is founded upon creativity, thinking, critical thinking, and problem solving, taking initiative and perseverance, and the ability to work collaboratively in order to plan and manage projects that are of cultural, social, or financial value. The other one, the last one, transversal skills. As regards the transversal skills, the UNESCO framework for transversal skills defines them as skills that are typically considered as not specifically related to a particular job, task, academic discipline, or area of knowledge, and that can be used in a wide variety of situations and work settings. For example, organization skills. According to this framework, transversal skills are competencies that are transferable between jobs and can be summarized as follows: critical and innovative thinking. This includes creativity, entrepreneurship, application skills, reflective thinking, and reasoned decision making. Interpersonal skills. They can include communication skills, organization skills, teamwork, collaboration, sociability, collegiality, empathy, and compassion. The other interpersonal skills, they include self-discipline, ability to learn independently, flexibility and adaptability, self-awarenesses, perseverance, self-motivation, compassion, integrity, risk-taking, and self-respect. The other one, global citizenship, it includes awarenesses, tolerance, openness, responsibility, respect for diversity, ethical understanding, intercultural understanding, ability to resolve conflicts, democratic participation, respect for the environment, national identity, and sense of belonging. Media and information literacy, it includes the ability to locate and access information through ICT, media, libraries, and archives, to express and communicate ideas through ICT, to use media and ICT to participate in democratic processes, the ability to analyze and evaluate media content. Practical techniques of active learning. So far, we have gained an idea of what active learning is, as well as the skills and competencies that this pedagogy supports. Are you curious to see some practical techniques and activities of how we can implement it in our classrooms? I guess yes. Techniques or activities help active learners create meaning and learn actively. Some of the most common techniques are think, pair, share. The teacher asks students a question that requires higher order thinking skills. For example, levels of application, analysis, or evaluation within Bloom's taxonomy. As the picture you can see indicates, the teacher asks students to think or write about an answer, then discuss their answers with a partner or in bigger groups, and they try to come to a consensus. Then the teacher asks the students of the group to share their answers and follows up with his or her explanation of solution. Concept maps. These are visual representation of relationships between concepts, as you see in the image. Concepts are placed in nodes, often circles, and the relationships between them are indicated by labeled rows that connect the concepts. The teacher has students create a concept map identifying the key concepts for mapping in small groups or as a complete class. The teacher asks students to determine the general relationship between the concepts and organize them two by two, drawing arrows between the related concepts and labeling with a short phrase to describe the relationship. So far, we believe that you have gained an overview of what the competencies and transversal skills are. How can you, as an educator, cultivate students' competencies and skills in your daily practice? Okay, now we're speaking about team-based learning and problem-based learning. Team-based learning, TBL, this is a structured form of small group learning that emphasizes student preparation outside of the class and the application of knowledge in the class. Students are strategically organized into various teams of 5 to 7 students working together. More information on how this strategy works can be found. Problem-based learning, PBL, the teacher asks students to address complex and challenging problems and work collaboratively to solve them. PBL is about connecting disciplinary knowledge and with the real world problems. Is about connecting disciplinary knowledge with real world problems. A student actively guides his or her own learning individually or in a group. The selected problem should reflect real life circumstances and be contemporary to facilitate the process of learning and doing. Ideas for problem based learning opportunities. If no project ideas immediately occur to you and your students, try collaborating with other educators in your school building or community to share insights. Here are a few questions that can help jumpstart brainstorming. How can we limit food waste in the school cafeteria, for example? How could we improve access to healthy food in our community? How could we track or protect local plant or animal species? How could we improve school attendance? How might we limit cold and flu transmission among students? Is there a better way to manage school traffic during pickup and drop-off times? A very interesting examples of problem-based learning can be found here. In this project, students were involved in researching topics of personal interest. We have made some projects in our school, beautiful projects. They use many sources of information, including their own experiences. Students were excited to uncover unexpected connection between toys and history, the world of television, business, psychology, and other fields of adult endeavors. In addition, students in discussions with the teacher became more aware of how different people use language for different purposes. Class discussion is also among the common activities that promote active learning. Gonzalez presents 17 class discussion strategies which aim to engage all students in the lesson. She divides the strategies into three groups: higher prep, which require more teacher preparation; low prep, which can be used at any time without special preparation; ongoing strategies, which can be integrated into the instruction. The next units provide some examples for each category. While going through the different strategies, you are highly encouraged to reflect and come up with your own ideas, dear teachers. Higher preparation strategies. Some of the higher prep strategies are gallery walk. Firstly, students work in small groups on a certain topic assigned by a teacher. Then they are divided into new groups and rotate between the sessions, teaching one another about the content they were working on. Philosophical chairs. This is a form of a debate. The debatable statement is read aloud and students divide into positions based on whether they agree or disagree with the statement. It may also take the form of a continuum. Standing in a half circle, students take turns to defend their positions. Look at the pictures. Socratic seminar. For this discussion activity, students need to be prepared beforehand by reading a text or a couple of texts related to the topic and annotating them. The discussion starts with a leader who asks an open-ended question like, "What do you think this text means?" The discussion follows naturally with the aim of gaining a deeper understanding of the text presented. Socratic seminars can take the form of a fishbowl activity where only a couple of students discuss the topic and the others act as observers. Low preparation strategies. Additionally, some of the low prep strategies that Cherny suggests are affinity mapping. First, students brainstorm answers to a very broad question, like what are the implications of World War II, which they write down on post-its. After lots of ideas are gathered, they start to arrange them in groups. This image here show how can an affinity map look like at the beginning, when all the ideas are written down. Can you see it? And at the end of the process, when the ideas are grouped together. Concentric circles, speed dating, onion. Each student in the outer cycle is paired with students in the inner cycle, as in the image. The teacher asks a question which they need to discuss. After that, they rotate and new discussion question is asked. Other cover stations. Students are split into groups of 4 to 6 persons, students. They are assigned a question to discuss. After that, 2 students from each group are asked to move to another group where they share the key ideas related to questions from the previous discussion, and the whole group is asked another. Ongoing strategies. Lastly, some of the ongoing strategies are asynchronous voice. This is an asynchronous discussion technique with use of technology like Voxer or Flipgrid, where students can discuss topic by sending each other voice messages or videos. Back channel discussion. This is a type of discussion that may accompany another activity, like watching a film or lecture. Students have a separate channel, for example, using Socrative or Mentimeter. They can use Mentimeter to discuss the topic or note down the most important statements with interrupting the flow of the presentation. Now that you have gained some knowledge around active learning and seen some practical techniques, can you share some practices that you use in your class to promote active learning with each other? Yes, we do each single day with other teachers. What are the flexible learning environments? After having reflected on the concept of flexible learning environments, we are ready to explore it in more details. A flexible learning environment refers to an environment in which learners are able to follow their own learning path given the formal learning goals. It is an environment that enables learners to make choices and select learning materials according to the learning tasks, needs, and goals. These needs and goals are based on the assessment of the previous performed learning task. A VLA should be designed in such a way that the acquisition of key competencies and transversal skills is supported. The responsibility of the choices made in the learning environment can be gradually shifted from the teacher to a learner. When the learner acquires a set of well-developed self-regulated learning skills, the learner can be given full control and complete freedom to decide on the learning path. But when the learner is not yet able to accomplish a self-assessment, formulate learning needs and goals, and select appropriate tasks, the teacher and learner should share the control. A flexible learning environment based on shared control is an environment where learners can learn to become self-directed in a guided way. Once again, in the contemporary literature, we can find many different terms to describe this environments, such as active learning classrooms, or innovative learning environments, or next generation learning spaces. Regardless of the term used, they are classes where regular learning take place, but they are designed deliberately to promote active learning. The outcome of dynamic relationship between the space design and pedagogy, which enables the students to achieve the best possible learning outcomes and develop 21st century skills. Modern pedagogical approaches emphasizes the importance of active learning for successful education. As we have seen in the previous unit, active learning is student-centered, involves solving real-world problems, receiving feedback, and involving higher-order thinking skills like analyzing, synthesis, and evaluation. To be successfully engaged in active learning, pedagogy should be aligned with the physical environment where learning takes place. Last but not the least, an effective learning environment is one that makes learning and engagement central, ensures learning is social and often collaborative, is in line with learners' motivations and emotions, is very sensitive to individual differences, is challenging enough for each learner, uses assessments that are consistent with the themes, with a strong focus on formative feedback, and encourage connection across activities and subjects in and out of school. The following instruction shows that an excellent example of flexible learning spaces uh, we have made in our school, but I'm sure you, in your daily practice, you can do it every day. Okay. Therefore, during this session, part two, we hope you have found part one engaging and interesting and are very happy to read your great contribution in the module activities. In this module, we firstly describe challenges that current classroom face in implementing active learning, and then we discover the special tools we use to organize learning, from basic elements such as the classroom layout to classrooms with learning zones to learning spaces. As explained in the Module 1, we try to present links with pedagogical concept because space design may facilitate pedagogical views and everyday practice in classroom. During these sessions, we will identify the main classroom challenges in implementing active learning, introduce the concept of dynamic classroom, explore the special tools we use to organize learning, learn some basic steps to redesign classroom, and discuss and exchange ideas among peers on how to redesign the space and make it more dynamic. To begin with, Elkington and Blig argue that space, physical or virtual, individual or social, has an impact on students' learning. Carefully designed space can encourage collaboration or competition, discussion, or individual work, engagement, or boredom. Deep learning can take place when students are active in the process of learning and take multiple roles. For example, listening, giving feedback, mentoring, presenting, etc. And when they engage in a range of collaborative activities, for example, group work, discussions, creating collaborative documents, etc., pedagogical principles stemming from what we know about learning should drive the changes we make in the learning environments. Traditional learning spaces rarely encourage social learning and metacognitive skills development. Flexible learning spaces also have a positive effect on the behavior of students. It's true that. She compared classroom activities in traditional classrooms with lessons taking place in flexible classrooms. The study suggests that the varied adaptable nature of flexible learning spaces, coupled with the use of student-centered pedagogies, facilitated a higher proportion of class time interacting, collaborating, and engaging with the lesson content. As a conclusion, the positive effect of flexible learning spaces may translate into beneficial learning outcomes in the long term. There are also practitioners who have witnessed the positive impact of learning and engagement on motivation of students after implementing flexible seating. It is important that learners can make their own choices, also their regard to seating options. Moreover, providing more opportunities for movement improves oxygen flow to the brain, core strength, and overall posture. The design of the environment is pivotal in engaging students with their learning. However, This must go hand in hand with changing teaching in culture and practices. Lastly, some of the ongoing strategies. Some ongoing strategies are asynchronous voice. This is an asynchronous discussion technique with the use of technology, as we have said before, like Voxer or Flipgrid, where students can discuss topics by sending each other voice messages. Back channel discussion, etc. However, the traditional configuration of the classroom with fixed rows certainly impacts and limits the pedagogical format. Quite often, classrooms contain not only chairs and desks, but also other objects that, in many cases, don't play any role in the learning processes and are just in the way. To provide flexibility within the classroom and the teaching strategies it utilized, whilst meeting the learning needs of the students is a challenge for all teachers due to the diversity of ability, interest, motivation, and levels of empowerment of the students, including those with learning disabilities. How can teachers address the problem of inflexibility in their classroom? Please share your ideas if you want. Additionally, according to Axit and Naime, who pulled a group of students involved in teacher education in Turkey, students pointed to the lack of the necessary equipment required for laboratory exercise or computer-based classes. Lack of resources for active learning result in an increasing workload for teachers who need to prepare them on their own. The lack of resources is not only evident in higher poverty areas, but it's evident in middle or lower class areas as well. In Albania also. It's hard for schools to be able to afford brand new laptops for each individual students, which then means that the teachers in the classrooms have to come up with a way to compensate for that. That could mean they turn to textbooks if they have enough, or they turn to using a projector to allow the students to see the teacher's screen. The lack of resources in schools is reported to be detrimental to the students' learning and the teachers instructing a class. A majority of students learn better by being hands-on in classroom. Students will be able to focus more if they have a screen right in front of them. If the teacher are using projectors and screens to show students the work, many students will be either unable to see the screen or unable to understand what is going on. It's easier to have the screen right in the front of you rather than across the room at the board. The students then can work at their own pace and they can take more time looking at the screen. Teachers are not the ones responsible for the computers, but they are the ones that feel as they are. They have to deal with the consequences of not having enough computers. Teachers go through enough as it is, and dealing with teaching a classroom of 30 students on a one screen can negatively affect how the students learn. A dynamic classroom shifts the focus away from the teachers and to the pupils, moving them phases from teaching to learning. In this type of dynamic classroom, the teacher encourages pupil to become actively involved in the process of learning. The traditional classroom set is not to be avoided in all circumstances. It is rather one of the possible layouts teachers can implement to deliver a learning scenario. The learning space configuration determines, or at least influences, the type of interactions teachers and students can have. However, flexible spaces can host a greater variety of activities. A classroom layout with rows is, however, not something we should take for granted. Therefore, furniture needs to be flexible, to be able to move around if needed, in order to prevent the classroom becoming fixed, which certainly has pedagogical consequences. The space tells a story. Space design and the positioning of the learners and the teacher have, without doubt, a direct link with the pedagogical visions, but also relate to the well being of the learner. The examples of dynamic formats below require smooth changes in the classroom layout on and or easy movement of the learners and do not require technological resources. For example, a fishbowl. The idea of a fishbowl is to divide the class into groups, which an inner circle having a discussion on a certain topic, and with an outer circle with observers, each observing one speaker of the inner circle. After the discussion, the participant of the inner circle gets feedback from his observer based on visual representation on a fishbowl rubric checklist. Afterwards, you can see at the image here, another one is a jigsaw. In a jigsaw format, the teacher assigns parts of a text or a task to different students in the group. The activity takes place in two rounds. Round one, the learner meets other students with the same text and role. They discuss the text to get a better understanding. And round two, the actual task round. Each student acts as an expert in his part and contributes to the task with his or her expertise. Uh, Carousel brainstorming. The teacher puts large sheets of paper with questions or topics in different places in the classroom and divides the class into the groups equal to the number of sheets. Each group gets 5 to 10 minutes to brainstorm ideas on the topic. When the time is up, they move to another poster. An example of implementing carousel brainstorm will be reviewed a book that the whole class has read. Word cafe. Students discuss a question in small groups at tables and they write or draw their ideas on paper. Each table has a moderator. After word cafe, uh, 10 minutes, for example, the participant moves to a new table. The moderators stay at the table and explain briefly the ideas written on the paper by the previous group. The new member give their comments and add additional ideas. A similar procedure is followed for the next round. Thornburg's metaphorical learning spaces. Addressing the challenge or of inflexibility that is noticed of in most of the classrooms. The next session will provide you with some examples of how to redesign your classroom space in order to inspire active learning. Traditional classroom teaching practices are characterized by a one-size-fits-all approach, meaning that all teaching take place in the same fixed environment, addressing all students in a school in a similar way. Modern learning space can provide a lot of variation in the environment with the aim of supporting a variety of pedagogical approaches as well as personalized learning. One scholar who had an important influence of the redesigning of learning spaces is an American futurist thinker, David Thornburg, who dedicated part of his life works to issues of educational technology and education system. Long before technology made its way into schools and classrooms, he developed the idea of learning zones in a classroom. In his book, From the Campfire to the Holodeck, Thornburg describes four metaphorical learning spaces and learning situations in which humans have learned for ages. Although technology brought a revolution to education, these four metaphors for learning have remained the same. Campfire. The campfire is a place for storytelling, which has been a mechanism for teaching for many centuries. It is the lecture space where the campfire of students learn from one individual, teacher, presenter, fellow students at the same time. Modern classrooms have replaced the fire with projectors and whiteboards, while the traditional classroom relies heavily on lecture space, where students listen to instruction from the teacher. Campfire sessions must not reveal all the answers, but set the scene and be the start of the learning journey. Quite often, they destroy the chance to make discoveries. Traditional lectures do not stimulate real thinking. Campfire sessions should provide just enough information to drive the students to discovery. The focus should be on asking questions and more precisely on developing the driving question or questions of the lesson. Watering hole. The watering hole is a space for social learning among peers. The learning takes place through conversation between learners. The idea is that social interaction generates triggers leading to a next level of understanding. The need for conversation is higher after a lecture. Schools must create environments where conversation and exchange is permitted and encouraged. In reality, the learning opportunities afforded by dialogue are too infrequent when students are positioned in rows. Flexible and comfortable furniture promotes conversation between students. A watering hole may take the form of a cluster of cushions and bean bags in a corner of the room, or have several small tables around which a few students can work together. As it most simple, the social learning space could be chairs carried over from the lecture space. Thornburg also points out that social interaction brings students to learn new things the teacher is not even aware of. Cave. As well as learning from a storyteller at a campfire and from peers at the waterhole, learners also need a space for reflection. The cave is a solitary space with privacy. Cave spaces are geared towards self directed learning. The cave is one of the types of space most lacking in schools. With this sense of privacy, caves provide the right condition for students to process on their own. Newly built and innovative schools nowadays provide more of these cave spaces. Thunberg also point out that enough time needs to be provided for students to use cave spaces without interruptions. Cave came in many shapes and sizes. Classrooms might have students create their own cave by moving a chair off by itself and using headphones. Soft sitting can be used for independent time, as can a cushion in a corner. Life. Thunberg suggests the fourth learning zone should be called life. It is a space where students can demonstrate what they have learned and where this knowledge can be applied in a meaningful way. Thunberg states that life spaces must give freedom to experiment and explore rather than giving every student the exact same task to perform. Life promotes the use of open ended questions and a transdisciplinary approach to make the life space a versatile environment for a variety of activities. Life space must also support the idea that learning often comes through building and making. The idea of life space does not necessarily have to be physical, but can also be more conceptual as long as students are granted the freedom to learn. 6 learning zones of the future classroom lab. Another example of dividing the classroom space, aiming to apply the active learning pedagogy, and inspire flexibility, was created by European SchoolNet and is the future Classroom Lab. The Future Classroom Lab is formed by 6 different learning spaces. Each space highlights specific areas of learning and teaching and helps to rethink different points: physical space, resources, changing the roles of students and teacher, and how to support different learning styles. 6 learning zone: investigate, create, present, interact, exchange, and develop. We are going to focus on each zone and analyze their key aspects and equipment in more depth. Till then, you are all encouraged to take the virtual tour of the Future Classroom Lab and familiarize yourself with the different zones. Feel free to take a screenshot if you want. As teachers and leaders consider how to best modernize their classrooms, they often look towards swapping out the old furniture for new, more flexible furniture, such as movable tables and chairs. But flexible furniture can only make a real difference when paired with flexible learning and instructions. Flexible furniture does play an important role and helps you create a truly flexible classroom in the following ways. It allows for students' choice, movement, and ability. It sets the tone for a healthy learning environment. It builds existment. It sends a visual sign that learning is different in the space. It can shape space for creativity, curiosity, and collaboration. Ideally, the 21st century learning space incorporates all of Thunberg's learning space. A group of learners should be able to move from the campfire, listening to one speaker in a traditional lecture, to the watering hole, collaborating in group discussion or working on team or project based activities, to the cave, working independently or reading, writing, or accessing computer resource, to life, tinkering on projects in a maker space or publishing a blog. To give you an idea how this can be achieved, and what we mean exactly by mobile, ergonomic, reconfigurable furniture, we provide the following examples. Beanbag chairs. Okay. Special parameter throughout this course, we have referred to the traditionally fixed and static classrooms with the stereotype roles for both teachers and students. When rethinking how we are organized learning, we need to introduce a set of parameters that describes the role traditional classroom. In more detail, the role of the teacher can be teacher-led, a teacher who wants to guide the students through every step of the lesson. Teacher led will need direct and visual or virtually visual contact with the students. If the students get more freedom, for example in a group, the teacher don't need to have this immediate overview of all the learners and vice versa. With teachers at the side and acting as coach, students can take more distance from each other and use, for instance, breakout areas outside the classroom or other common spaces. With independent learning, we even can go one step further. Students get full freedom for the task without the direct supervision of the teacher. Obviously, that gives even more freedom with the use of the learning spaces. Positioning of the learners. The positioning of the learners refers to the social element of learning. In some cases, students work individually on or on a task. They can also work in smaller groups, or the learning can take place in plenary together with communication with all students. The different roles of the teacher can be combined with the different social position of the learners. The actual special condition can vary in the type of privacy and distance. Activities taking place in a classroom are by default public because all learners have visual and auditory contact with the rest of the class. rest of the class group and with the teacher. Some schools nowadays create learning spaces where students of groups of students can work in private or with a limited distraction by other learners. When working virtually, mostly from home, the physical contact is completely diminished. The learning activity categorized. As it has been communicated in the last session of Module 1, in order to earn a course, you will need to develop and submit your own scenario if you want. The scenario tool categorizes classroom activities into 6 types. When adding an activity to scenario, it will be mandatory to start from selecting one of these categories. Okay. Technologies come and go. That is why the tool mentioned generic names and not brand names. Examples of tool can be found on the page here. As much as possible, tools have been added. These are tools which offer a free use but often with a limitation. As a teacher, you need to make the right judgment when using a specific tool, especially regarding to privacy of students and data protection. Are there any other useful tools that you are currently using and want to share with your peers? You can write in the chat. I think so. Okay, great work. We have made it through part 2. Part 3, keep up the good work together and welcome. We aim to explore learning beyond the typical classroom, learn more about learning in different learning zones of a future classroom, reflect on activities that can be organized beyond the school building, learn some ways to transform school learning space, familiarize ourselves with the online scenario tool. Future Classroom Lab. Investigate, create, present. We will start this part 3 of session with exploring learning beyond the typical classroom by getting to know a bit more about the Future Classroom Lab. An initiative has been developed by European SchoolNet. Key points for investigate. Developing critical thinking skills. Students learn how to find quality resources and how to manage information. Developing problem-solving skills. Students have a goal or a challenge to resolve. The challenge question is set by the students themselves. That builds on their strengths, potential, and preferences. Learners become active researchers. Research across varied media, text-based, video, audio, images, result of experiments, numbers, etc. is the basic of the classroom activity. Investigation can take place by reading, observing, conducting science experiments, organizing surveys, using robots, etc. Create. The future classroom allows the students to plan, design, and produce their own work. For example, a multimedia production or a presentation. In the create zone, simple repetition of information is not enough. Students work with real knowledge building activities. Interpretation, analysis, teamwork, and evaluation are important parts of the creative process. Key points for create. Learning by creating. The learners are actively involved in producing and creating their own content. This allows learners to exercise their imaginations and to innovate. Using engaging technology. ICT provides a number of ways to redesign, to create, and disseminate learner-generated content. Developing learner soft skills. The students develop their soft skills through project-based work, including presentation, planning, and teamwork. Present. The student of classroom of the future will need a different set of tools and skills to present, deliver, and obtain feedback on their work. The presentation of delivery of the pupil work has to be factored into the planning of lesson, allowing students to add communicative dimensions to their work. Sharing of the result can be supported by a dedicated area for interactive presentations that, through its design and layout, encourages interaction and feedback. Online publication and sharing are also encouraged, allowing the students to become accustomed to using online resources and familiarizing themselves with the principles of e-safety. Key points for present. Learning to share and communicate. Just as important as carrying out interesting work is the sharing of the results. ICT provides multiple ways to create interactive and engaging presentations, both face to face and online. Interacting with a wider audience, presentations are interactive actions where peers and the teacher give feedback. The physical layout can support this process. Developing feedback skills. The listeners are given an active role as peer reviewers and they learn to provide constructive feedback. The presentations are not prepared for aimed at the teacher only, but for the whole class or even a wider community. You can refer to this link where you can find more details and useful equipment for each zone. As always, your experience matters. What products do your students create? What do you dare investigate and present? Thank future classroom, interact, exchanging, develop. Interact. In the future classroom, the teacher can use technology to enhance interactivity and students' participation in traditional learning spaces. One challenge of the traditional classroom setting is getting all students actively involved. Technology enables each and every pupil to contribute. Solutions vary from individual devices like tablets and smartphones to interactive whiteboards and interactive learning content. In the interact zone, learning involves both teachers and students' active engagement. Rearranging physical space. To break the traditional classroom paradigm or rows, the students are sitting in different can try out different settings. For example, a horseshoe shape or in small groups. From spectators to active learners. ICT provides opportunities for students to be active in different ways that support their own learning styles. This also can help the teacher to move away from the teacher led lessons to the student centered. Exchange. Future classroom learning places much importance on the ability to collaborate with others. The teamwork takes place while investigating, creating, and presenting. The quality of collaboration is composed for ownership, shared responsibility, and decision-making process within groups. ICT can help to create a richer way of communication and collaboration. Collaboration in the 21st century classroom is not limited to face and synchronous communication, but can take place online and also asynchronously. Key point for exchange. Peer-to-peer collaboration, learning to communicate and work with others is probably one of the most valuable skills a child can learn. Extending this across the school, for example, older students coaching younger students, can reinforce pupils' sense of social responsibility. Teamwork for better inclusion. Working in groups can teach children to take into account differences between learners. Learning by playing. Playing is common to all children. Digital games and simulation can be used to introduce more engaging learning. Develop. The develop zone is a space for informal learning and self reflection. Students can carry out schoolwork independently at their own pace, but they can also learn informally while concentrating on their own interests outside of the formal classroom settings, both at school and at home. By providing ways to foster self directed learning, the school supports learners self reflection, and meta-cognition skills. The school encourages its students towards true lifelong learning by analogizing and validating informal learning. Key points for develop. Allowing for an informal environment, the informal learning space at the school can be a more home-like environment, etc. Supporting motivation and self expression. Teachers can support personalized learning, for example, with tailored learning activities or by allowing more freedom to learners in selecting their topics of investigation. Students can also develop their personal learning portfolios using personal learning devices. Personal learning devices like netbooks and tablets provide access to online resources and virtual learning environments both at home and at school. You can refer to this link where you can find more details and useful equipment for each zone. Learning in nature. I like this. In the previous section, we discussed about learning beyond the typical classroom, no? In this section, we are moving even further and explore learning that happens outside the school building. With education steering more and more towards learning through technology, it is crucial to be reminded why learning outside of a screen is beneficial for students. Learning outside supports creativity and problem solving in students, enhances cognitive abilities, and improves academic performance. Studies in the USA have shown strong progress in social studies, science, language arts, and math through nature based education programs. It is also it helps also reduce anxious energy and promotes focus. Forming relationships also come more naturally to students in nature based education, for they are experiencing social interaction away from a screen. Natural areas such as forests, big gardens, or biodiversity parks can and should be a great opportunity for exploration and discovery at different times of year. In an ethos of care and respect for these special species is nurtured with informal class time, then it follows that the children will respect and value the nature around them at all the times. Languages. A natural area can offer an array of interesting scents, textures, and colors, which provide a perfect stimulus for sensory explorations. Students can create magic potions, spells, perfumes, or a witch's brew. Such existing creative activities constitute a hook for follow and literacy work. The plants or animals found in these areas could even be interviewed. What does the snail have to say about life in the school grounds? Why has the tree lost a branch? Who lives down the hall, etc.? If students can sit comfortably in amongst the nature, then it can equally be a lovely zone in which to sit and read either independently or stories could be shared in this space or tranquility. Even better if the stories are somehow related to the nature. Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEAM. Nature is an instant resource for surviving. For example, plant species. invertebrate diversity in the soil or in the trees and bushes, bird species, aquatic invertebrates, etc. The result of these surveys provide real-world statistics for a range of rich data handling activities. Citizen science. Citizen science is the practice of public participation and collaboration in scientific research in order to increase collective scientific knowledge. It can be a great tool for meaningful place responsible outdoor learning where students engage in surveys about a certain feature of their local area. If the data collected is submitted centrally, then the students have the opportunity to compare their findings with those across the nation. It can even inform them in making changes to improve their spaces. Arts. Nature can provide a great source of materials for any kind of art. Listen to the sounds to create music, extend the activity, and have the children write accompanying lyrics. Sculptures, sketches, murals, videos, dances can all emerge from a natural inspiration. Other curricular areas. Our ancestors used a whole range of materials from nature for their day to day activities, from food to tools, from medicines to materials. How about identifying the species growing naturally, researching their historical usage, and even attempting to use them as they would have been used? Flowers can be pressed and used for bookmarks, coasters, and hangings. Herbs can be dried for cooking and fragrance. Wildflower seeds can be harvested and used to make wheel seed bombs. There is a strong learning for sustainability message around using nature harvest. You can gain more inspiration visiting the Handbook of Learning Beyond the Classroom, a great resource of content and activities that has been supported by the European Commission. Have you ever set up your teaching in nature, dear teachers and students? If yes, how did it look like? It's a great choice, I think. Learning in museums. Museums give students experiences above and beyond the everyday experiences that enrich and build upon classroom teaching and learning. Taking students to a museum or bringing museums artifacts into school instantly changes the dynamic of the usual learning environments. Museums are the nation's treasure houses. They are packed with objects, stories, ideas, and creative, knowledgeable people. When these elements combine with a teacher's professional expertise, they can add an extra and magical dimension to a child's learning, no? Museums, in the context of this unit, refers to the museum sector, including museums, galleries, interactive science centers, heritage sites, and children's museums. Learning beyond the classroom, languages and history. In museums, students have the opportunity to apply words and phrases learned in the classroom to describe an artist's visual expression of emotion and experiences. A fantastic example of authentic use of language in a real setting outside the classroom. Organize a role play session with students, inspire them to demonstrate what they learned through paintings and sculptures by picking up roles and being the protagonist of history. Additionally, using active learning strategies, let students discuss and debate multiple viewpoints. This will offer an opportunity for learners to think independently and express their opinions. Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEAM. Ask your students to count objects in specific rooms assigned to them. To count, they have to categorize. Some might categorize objects based on their subject crosses or ancient times. Some use materials like wood as their basis, some based on their size or shape, and so on. As a next step, you can make parent categorize and debate hierarchies with them. expressive arts. As a creative output, let students take photos at the museum objects so that they can make their own exhibition. Introduction to school transformation, adapting a traditional school with fixed classroom to more open and flexible learning environments requires adaptation to the existing infrastructure and architecture. There is a long process of changes starting from easy, affordable, and possible by authority of teacher and schools to difficult, expansive, and depending on authority of government or school board. Hard architecture concerns building of schools and extensions, but also internal changes regarding refurbishing and redesigning spaces where walls are removed, doors replaced, etc. These types of changes are in most cases not decided by a school or teachers, but need approval on funding provided by a higher level. Soft architecture comprises changes that may be in the power at the local board and teachers. Of course, in the first place, schools need to reflect on the pedagogical needs. They make changes in the learning environments of the school. The challenge is to find a match between the pedagogical need and the feasibility of the architectural concept. The pedagogical axis, there is a need for following environments. The list is not exhaustive but is based on observation of schools. The different areas can be linked to 21st century skills. Communication is everything. The focus in the communication between learners and teachers, but also between just students or between just teachers. Learning together, the focus is on real collaboration, whether among the learners of one class group or among learners from many class groups. Individual talent, every student is different and has her or his own talents. Every student must get the opportunity to develop at her or his own pace and level. Hands-on learners want to be active. We learn not only by listening, but also by doing and making. Well-being, a school is more than a place for learning. Students want to be in comfortable environments where they are respected as persons. The school is not an island. Learning no longer takes place in the isolated schools. Schools want to bring learning activities into the real world. Learning can also happen outside of the classroom. Every school has unread spaces or spaces that could be added to the spaces where learning takes place. They could be corridors, halls, niches, in between spaces, attics, etc. Splitted, subdivided spaces into different zones. This could be done by adding a wall, but also by rearranging furniture and using, if needed, dividers. Connected, making connection between existing spaces in the school building, physically, visually, functionally. Add-on, adding extra spaces to the school building, building or acquiring neighboring buildings, or even adapting the grounds outside of building for a specific pedagogical activity. Go beyond, using spaces in the environment of the school, for example, public facilities, and sharing spaces of the school with the community for after-school activities. Okay, great work. We have made it through part 3 of the session. You have learned different learning zones of the future classroom. You have explored how to learn beyond the typical classroom. You have reflected on activities that can be organized in the school building. You have learned some ways to transform school learning spaces, and you have familiarized yourself with online scenario tool. Creating your learning scenario. Now you should probably have an idea of the following aspects of the learning scenario. Age of students, title, subject, topic, and aim of the lesson, activities, position of the teachers or learners, tools, and technologies to use. You can share your experience with each other. And the last one, last page, why we are using peer assessment of this course. Peer assessment on peer review activities are a central element of courses. On the one hand, these activities are the only way that learning can be more sustainability or qualitatively validated. On the other hand, they are a mechanism for you to receive more personalized feedback on the work you do as part of the course. Beyond this, the concept of peer assessment among teachers is an important idea in itself that we aim to promote with other courses. In many countries, teachers still rarely engage in a process of peer review. Observing colleagues and giving them feedback is not necessarily a common thing for most teachers. That's all for today. Really a great honor being here with you. I have done. Can you hear me?
Thank you so much, ma'am Irina Biba, for sharing your knowledge and all the insight with our participants. And we expect that our participants get benefited from your presentation in their educational and their career. Thank you so much, ma'am. And ma'am, we'll come back with you after the quiz competition with our participants in our Q&A session. So till then, please stay with us.
Okay, thank you. Always a
Thank
great
you.
pleasure being here.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, right now this is our quiz competition session. It's going to start. So, dear participants, let's get ready for the quiz. After this short video, we'll come back. And today, top 10 will be awarded with quiz winner certificates. And don't forget to tag, share, and mention your friends in our comment box. Mention at least your 5 friends in our comment section. So, enjoy this short video. So once again, hello everyone in our quiz competition session. And I hope that you all will enjoy the quiz music video. Okay, so come back in our program. You can find the joining link in our comment box. So go ahead, click the joining link, and you can see the code that is IGP quiz that is flashed on our screen. And you can also scan the QR code that is also shown in the screen. All right. So use your full name because it will be printed in the quiz winner certificate. So dear participants, we are still waiting for your response and for more participants here. And after the quiz, we'll start our QA with our honorable speaker. So also get ready with your question to ask our honorable speaker. So let's see how many participants here right now with us. Okay. I think right now we have 48 participants. Yes. So thank you everyone for joining with us. Yeah, Ma'am Joanna, Sariki Kalima, Ma'am Jerly. Okay, Ma'am Jig Midori. Okay, it started. Okay, the quiz is started. Here is our first question, and that is true false, and you have to choose one option. And the time is up. Let's see the right answer. Okay, the correct answer is option number one. That is true. And okay, most of our participants got the correct answer. So let's see our leaderboard. Okay, there is our leaderboard name. All right. So you can see the name there. Okay, let's proceed to the next question. Yes, we have the question on the screen, and it's once again it's a true false. So choose your option. You have the time. Okay, so the time is up. Let's see the right answer. True, and all of our participants got the correct answer. Congratulations, everyone. Let's see the leaderboard. Yes. All right. Okay, you have seen the name there. Can you go to next question? Okay. So here is your question number three, and there's two option again. You have last 3 seconds left to answer it, and the time is up. The correct answer is option number two. So congratulations, those answered correctly. Let's see our leaderboard. All right. So here is our leaderboard names. Okay, next question. Again, you have 15 seconds left for answer. You have to choose one option. Let's see the right answer. Yes, the option number one is the correct answer. Okay, let's see the leaderboard. All right, so congratulations everyone. Those answered correctly in this round. Let's proceed to question number five. Again, it's a true or false. All right, so the time is up. Let's see the correct answer, and it's false. Okay, so congratulations, those answered correctly. Here is our leaderboard name, winner's name. Okay, okay, so we are now in our next question. Wait a moment. Can you have the next question, please? Okay, and it's a true false again. And the correct answer is option number one, and 100% of our participants got the correct answer. Okay, so let's see leaderboard names. Yes, congratulations, everyone. So go ahead for your next question. Yes, choose your option. There's two options. Okay, so the right answer is option number two, and congratulations once again, everyone. Here is our leaderboard winner's name. Congratulations, everyone. Moving to next question, question number 8. And you have 20 seconds to answer. Okay, the right answer is again option number 2. All right, congratulations, those answered correctly. Can you see our leaderboard? Yes, here it is. Okay, so moving to next question, question number 9. Hurry up, everyone, choose your options. And the time is up. Let's see the right answer. The correct answer is option number 2, and 44% of our participants got the correct answer. Okay, let's see the leaderboard. So, congratulations, everyone, those answered correctly. And we have lost one more question. Let's proceed to last question. You have lost 5 seconds left to answer it. And the time is up. Let's see the right answer. Okay, the option number 1 is correct answer. So congratulations, those answered correctly. Let's see our winner's name. All right, so congratulations to our top 10 winners. I cannot read the name because today I've joined from my mobile, so the icons look so small. All right. So congratulations to our top 10 winners. You'll get your winner certificates from our Facebook official page, and we'll post it after the program. So after the short video of QA, we'll come back with our honorable speakers. So get ready with your question. And also don't forget to tag, share, mention your friends in our comment box. And there is our top 10 name, top 10 winners name. Okay, today we don't have the QA, so we'll direct to proceed to our certification process. Am I right? Okay, so now we are in our certification process. Okay, so the program name is Active and Innovative Teaching in Flexible Learning Spaces. So, and the code is IGP 1590. Let me tell you once again, the code is IGP 1590. And without this code, no one is eligible for certificates. And with code, you can claim your certificates anytime. And you can also visit our website. Our website address is www.eduigp.com. So visit our website. You can see the upcoming webinar and collect your e-certificates. And don't forget to celebrate with IGP. So thank you everyone for being with us till now. And it's my request to everyone, never stop learning. So keep learning with IGP and stay with us with IGP also. So I'm inviting all of you to our next session tomorrow morning. So don't miss it. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy. Have a great night. Good night, everyone. I'm signing off. Thank you.